the Yankee season. Hey, we are live with Joe LaVacca. Joe, what state are you in right now?
We are in New York, Bo.
I meant like what state of mental state. No.
Mental state's a whole different story. That's a longer answer too.
I did mean what physical geographical state, because if anyone follows Joe LaVacca here on social media, he bounces back and forth between Colorado and New York, familial and feminine obligations. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I guess that would be fair to say. Since we've been together, Courtney and I, and Courtney is my fiance, for those listening or following along, I'm sure more people are familiar with her than myself.
She's pretty popular. She's pretty famous.
She is pretty popular. She's pretty popular, and her whole gang is doing really big things. So I'm really proud of them, and to watch them grow over the last 9 to 10 years has been, really, really something special. But when we were kind of sitting down and talking business and ways to see each other a little bit more, doing the distance, and the number one question we normally get is, why do you guys do distance? Why aren't you moving to Colorado? Why isn't she moving there? And the answer is, we have 2 beautiful daughters. Mine is 11 and hers is now soon to be 14. I was like looking at the calendar over here to see like how many more weeks we had. So she'll be 14. We have a couple of more years before colleges settle in, and then maybe we'll pick a state, or we'll be a little bit more consistent on one side versus the other. But yes, I do go out there at least once a month, twice a month, to see people, work with people out in Colorado. So that has been a blessing as well, that we can kind of take our personal lives now and kind of blend them into a little bit more of a professional sense. So with the flights tacking up higher and higher every single time I buy a ticket, we had to come up with something. And this was the solution. And it's been about 1.5 years of me working out there. And it's been a lot of fun. I mean, I would say the people out in Colorado are probably much more intense from an activity standpoint than a lot of the people out here in New York. It's the mountain biking and the hiking and the rock climbing, and they do
14ers. 14ers.
Yeah.
I didn't know what a 14er was until I moved here. For anyone not familiar, that is just walking up a mountain that goes above 14,000 feet above sea level. We're already at a mile above sea level. So you start maybe you drive up to like 10,000 and you're walking up 4,000 feet. Maybe you start at 12,000. So you're only walking up 2,000 feet, whatever. There's all sorts of ones. I think Colorado has the most peaks, 14 peaks in the world of any state for sure, I think. So anyway, random thing. I have yet to do a 14er. I've done one 13er, which wasn't really intentional. We were like, let's just go do something.
So funny enough, I share a similar story. We got as close as we could to get to the peak. And I forgot where we were, but it was for Courtney's, I think, 43rd birthday or 44th birthday, something like that. My buddy actually came out with me and we were like, oh, let's go do a hike. And it got real intense real quick from a breathing perspective. And then because we kept having to take breaks, the weather up there also turns very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So it was sort of one of these ideas of, should we race to the top and fight weather coming down? Or should I just look, see the flag and be like, I'm close enough. I never thought I'd be up this high anyway. So let's just start heading back down now. And that's kind of what we did.
I will mention for folks coming to Colorado, I always mean to do videos for this. Element, drinkLMNT.com/fitcare. That's my personal link. You get a free sample pack. Joe seems like he can talk to the fact that getting electrolytes in the mix, especially once you land, even if you're going in and out like he's doing, as soon as you land in Colorado, get your electrolytes in, get your hydration in, stay on top of that otherwise. And people think like, oh, I'm here, let's have a drink, let's celebrate. That's the kind of the culture. That's a great way. And my very first time I was here was for a student physical therapy conference in Denver, 2005 or 6, and I was at the we went to the hotel. I think it was the Gaylord or the Omni or something like that.
Yep.
And I was in
both of them. Could be both.
Could be both. I was in the bar in the hotel, very cool area. I'm like meeting all the people. There's a lot going on. There's thousands of students from all over the country, physical therapy students, and I went to the bar. I was like feeling pretty good, and like I'm like, oh, the altitude hasn't hit me yet. And I order like the local sampler of beers. And it was
Obviously.
probably like 5 3-ounce beers or something like that. And I just like tasted them all, and that knocked me out. That was like at 7 p.m. By 8 p.m. I was in bed, and they were like, "Hey, we're going to whatever." I'm like, "Have fun." I'm out. I was buried in a chair. But anyway, yes, guys, make sure you hit your electrolytes in Colorado. I'm gonna call you out publicly, Joe, and as many times as you've been here. And I know we're not like, you wouldn't be at my wedding, I wouldn't be at your wedding. That's fine. But I'd like to think, knowing each other for this long, in some capacity, we should try to actually meet up one of the times you're here. Not in a
That'd be lovely.
sense. But yes, I'm going to call it out here publicly. So the next time, I'll keep an eye on your social media, and it works out. And I have a toddler, I have a 2-year-old. That limits my time. You guys are down there at Total Health Solutions in Lakewood, about 45 minutes. About 45 minutes from me. So maybe without traffic, it's a little quicker. But I'm going to.
Well, we can always meet in the middle. We can always meet in the middle someplace. That's totally fine.
That's smart.
Yeah, the next time I'm out there, actually, Court is hosting Jay DeSherry, who is a really awesome physical therapist, researcher, deals with a lot of running injuries. So I'll be out there on April 10th and 11th working, and then 11th and maybe some of 12th, maybe a morning of like taking the course. But then after that, I'm not actually sure when I'm back out there. It might be May, but I will keep you posted, buddy.
All right.
And you have it. It's recorded. It's officially recorded.
This is live. This is live.
It's even better. It's even better.
That's right. And then let's talk about the Yankees. We got the Yankees hat. I'm gonna see if the hair's still okay.
No, it's still looking good.
Okay. But yes, what do you think? We're going into spring training. We're finishing spring training. Season starts April, or I think a few days before April 1st. I think it's March.
This Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, I think. Yeah. I'm not too optimistic about this season. Although I wasn't optimistic about last season either. And I mean, adding Juan Soto was a really big deal, obviously, for anybody watching. But I think we're going to scrounge out a wild card just because the AL is kind of weak this year, I think, or has been weak. I don't know if we get out of the first round of the playoff. There's a lot of upstart young teams that I think can put it together in the AL. But ultimately, I mean, who is going to beat the Dodgers at this point? I mean, they have a superstar starting five pitching.
They gotta beat themselves.
It has to be that, right? It has to be some sort of bad luck. But even last year when they fought through all those injuries, they have so many stars that, 3, 4, 5 go down, and they're like, oh, well, the next guy just comes up.
I got to ask this. So as a Yankee fan, I'm a Yankee fan as well. Are you a Met hater?
I'm more of a Met indifferenter.
Okay, so if the Mets are facing the Dodgers, you're obviously rooting for the Mets in the playoffs or any.
I guess that's fair. Yeah, I guess that's fair. If it could end in a tie somehow, I guess I'd be rooting for that. But I guess I would be rooting for the Mets. I got most of my best friends are Met fans, so yeah, they give me a little bit of difficulty and tough love, I would say. But if they're happy, I'm happy. Maybe I can get them to buy me a beer out of the whole thing when we're together watching the World Series. So to be determined. But unless we make a move at the deadline, especially for a pitcher or maybe a third baseman and maybe a corner outfield, I don't know.
Maybe 5 different.
Maybe 5 other.
I'll just say real quick. I think obviously if like Jason Dominguez and Austin Wells have a great year, that'll be a huge.
Those are big ifs. Yeah,
Judge has to do his normal thing, not get injured, and then the pitchers. We need 2 or 3 of the pitchers to just go way above what we're expecting, which is a big ask. I don't know if you heard the dog barking. I'm just looking out my office window here, and one of her least favorite dogs was just passing by. So I don't know if that was audible or the microphone is actually doing its thing. Good.
No.
Doing its thing.
It's good. I didn't hear anything. It was filtering out. But you know what? Once I get on a rant, Bo, I mean, lots of things can happen in the background, and it's just
tunnel vision.
It's just honed in after that, man.
So Joe, tell us about the Pizza and Pain Instagram account.
Yes. So fun story about this. So my my official Instagram account is still Strength in Motion _PT. That is the main business.
Show off the logo.
Oh yeah. There it is.
The brain kettlebell. The
brain kettlebell. And someone I work with the other day was like, I like this hand grenade that you have as your logo. Could you tell me a little bit more about the hand grenade? I was like, oh shit, it really does look like a hand grenade. I mean, I never thought of it like that before, but yeah, maybe I got to reimagine the logo a bit. But yeah, Strength in Motion started about like maybe like 8 to 10 years ago now. I mean, the idea was definitely there 10 years ago, and I guess it came all to fruition about 8. So we're a small practice in New York City on 20th and 5th over in Flatiron. We work out of a really wonderful gym called Encore Fitness. Lots of one-on-one training there, all the things that you can need. So I've really been happy there, and the guys who own the gym have been just absolutely phenomenal to me. But my Instagram influence has been dwindling since I would say the summer of 2023. I made a post actually when I had COVID. I was homesick. Made this post about just working your hip, and for some reason it went viral, and went from like 20,000 followers all the way up to like 58,000 followers in like 2 months. I was like, holy shit, this actually really happens. Like, I didn't really think that this happened unless you like paid or you were like a celebrity. And I was like, no, wow, the social media gods have smiled upon me. This is it. Like, this is my claim to fame. And then for whatever reason, after those, like, that was July, I think, the minute the calendar turned like September 1st, it was just like, boom,
flatline,
nothing else anymore. And I would say over the course of the last 2 years, even though I post regularly, the followers have been dwindling. So I've actually lost now like 3,000 or 4,000 followers since that time. So Courtney, my fiance, who is growing and booming on social media, has shared strategies with me. Oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. And I'm like, yep, I'm doing that. I'm doing this. I'm doing the hashtag thing. I'm doing that. I'm posting at this time. I'm doing the B roll. I'm doing the A roll. I'm doing that roll. And she was like, look, you're shadow banned. You got to just delete it and start over. And I was like, I don't think I'm shadow banned, but I mean, I guess I could be. How would I know? I mean, that's the whole definition of a shadow ban, right? You don't know. All my profile things check out okay. So I guess if anybody's listening, please comment or send me an email and tell me how to make it better. But as a joke, I was with actually Courtney and one of our good friends in Mexico. And I said, sort of my dream was always to open up a physical therapy shop and pizzeria. Maybe that's the New York, coming out of me. And I always wanted to call it Slice of Life. And, even if I couldn't get you to feel better, at least you'd leave with a slice of pizza. And I don't know if it was the tequila or the cervezas, but we all thought it was a great idea. And, and it was basically, why not? And Canva now is awesome. I just typed in pizza logo and wrote Slice of Life over it. And I was now rolling with that. I'm just having fun with it, throwing out pizza facts and pain facts. And then
I was going to comment that your definition of the term facts is a little loose, but yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, the pizza facts obviously are 100% Google, Chrome, ChatGPT. And I'm like, hey, ChatGPT, send me 100 interesting facts about pizza. And I am not cross-referencing facts about pizza, everybody. So you either take it or leave it. Maybe I'll mix in some of Joe's opinions about pizza, like what's the best toppings and how many pieces are actually a serving size in weeks to come. But no, the pain facts I try to keep real, at least for the most part. So yeah, that's been a fun little experiment, and shockingly enough, that has not gone viral yet. So I told Courtney, I don't think the shadow banning on Strength in Motion was it, but we have some tactics ready to rock. I have a couple of really great coaches that I'm working with now, and we'll see if we can steer this ship in the right direction in the weeks and months to come.
And it looks like you still have my homegirl Avery Wittenkamp as your main other. Is she the only other therapist in Strength in Motion?
Yeah. She's the only one that I liked that I've met so far. Yeah, no, Avery's absolutely wonderful. She's been working.
No disrespect to the other people he met that are listening to this. Like, yeah.
Yeah, Avery's working on Fridays. She's doing great. She's still doing her CrossFit thing. So for people who are in Brooklyn, she's at CrossFit South Brooklyn, kind of full-time, I think now, nice. Over on Strength in Motion on Fridays. And I think she still does some private training and stuff. So if you're looking for an awesome trainer, coach, physical therapist who knows the ortho side and the neuro side, definitely reach out to Avery. She's wonderful. When did you meet Avery? Was it through the CrossFit box? Was
CrossFit NYC. Yeah.
NYC. That's what I thought. Okay.
When I was there for a little while. Yes, we coached together. That was a very, I don't know if you ever been in there, but
Yes.
that was when they also moved from the 23rd Street to 26th Street, or
Yes.
so you might, I don't know. Again, depending on the timeline and years, that might have been the only time. I'll call her out publicly too if she ends up listening to this, and I've invited her on here. I know she's a busy human, but maybe she just doesn't like me. It's fine. I don't know. It's fine. Whatever. But I've definitely invited her on here. I can share
Just keep at her. Just keep at her. You'll break her.
It's fine. It's fine. I don't need her. I don't. No, all good. I think she just said everything's been really busy, and I'm looking through it now, and vacation and blah blah blah, and she doesn't check this very often, and blah blah blah. And anyway, that's fine.
Yeah, the fun fact about Avery is that she's like an international, world class kettlebell competitor.
Kettlebell person, yeah.
So she'll randomly email me or text me and be like, "Hey, I need off from April 12th through the 30th," and I was like, "Cool. Sure, what do you need?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go compete in like a kettlebell competition in Hungary." And then she comes back and she's like casually posts on Instagram, like, "Nah, first in this, first in that, new world record." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Ava, you're not making like t-shirts about this?" I mean, if I had a world record or close to I want to try to eat the world record for most pizza. I don't even, but just to say I tried it. And I think that's about the biggest claim to fame I'd ever have. So
there has to be some kind of like 5K pizza run thing going on.
Oh yeah, there you go. So
my claim to fame is I won it's the New York Rogue Runners, not the Road Runners, the Rogue Runners. I don't know if they still do it. I got it. Yeah. Do you know David Tao by chance?
Of course, David's one of my favorite people of all time.
Yes, he's pretty awesome. But he had won the year before. This is when I was working out with him at CrossFit Fifth Ave. And he had been bragging about this hot dog run thing that he had won. And I was like, I'm going to do it and beat you. And lo and behold, he claimed the night before that I competed, he ate a bunch of like Korean barbecue. He got out. And so he wasn't very hungry. But anyway, it was in Central Park. You had to stop at 10. It was a hot dog run. And you had to stop at 10 hot dog stands, pay for the hot dog, eat the hot dog, continue to run. And it was 10 hot dog 5K. I finished in front of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I won cool. And you have a guide with you who is like your judge. And
yeah, right.
The two of us were there, and it was like 10 minutes, then 15 minutes, and then 20 minutes. I'm like, where are the people? And eventually people showed up, but we're like, no, this is the proper finish line. It wasn't like a real proper event. Right. And I won all the entry money. It was like $20 a person or something. So, and that bought drinks at the bar later. But yeah, I did not eat hot dogs again for a very long time. But I did not vomit. I will stand by that. But anyway,
well, and now that you invoke David's name, David is actually getting into. He's a producer now, I think.
Yes.
It's awesome.
He was involved with the Ferrari movie with starred Adam. What's his name? What's that guy's name? Adam Driver.
Adam Driver. I kept saying Brody in my mind, but that's
Adrian Brody. Adam Driver. Yeah. Anyway, but yes, and he's doing a bunch of Broadway stuff and whiskey reviews, and he's living a pretty good life. Good life. Shout
out to David. He's one of honestly the nicest people I've ever met. So
very much so.
I always like to see when he does well.
Yes, sir. Shifting back to, and I had him on here a long time ago, back when he was still running Barbend, and he sold that as well. And he's posted about all that stuff publicly. Very cool, sharing his experience there. But back to you. Are you still doing your podcast, your other podcast with the Pain Science?
Yeah, so a good buddy of mine that I used to work with, actually at Perfect Stride, before Strength in Motion existed, we had, God, this is really, really early on. We probably should have just kept rolling with it, because maybe it would have been, to the likes of Huberman or Peter Attia by now. But we would sit in this back break room and set up our camera, and we called it Cups of Joes. And we would just have a coffee and talk about something that we were just actually chatting about in the clinic that day. And it was like, well, instead of chatting about it, why don't we record it and put it on YouTube? I think we made it to 3 or 4 episodes when I was like, this is dumb. We don't have 1 million followers yet, so I'm out, And every year around the same time, Facebook would always give you those memories and be like, oh, hey, do you remember when you were doing Cups of Joes? And I was like, yeah. We text each other, And then for whatever reason, last year it was, hey, do you want to just get it rolling again? He had a podcast that he had sort of like just let fade out a little bit. Life, kids, he moved to North Carolina. And so that's, we started almost a year ago to the day, actually, now that I think about it, because we're up to about episode 48, 49. So yeah, that's been a really,
one a week.
we're doing one a week pretty consistently. Yeah, I think we took off for like the day we normally release is Wednesday, and this year like Christmas and New Year's kind of fell on Wednesday. So I think that was the only gap that we actually had. And yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun. And I know you've been doing this for a while. It's just nice to talk to another clinician, consistently. And I mean, I think that's what I value so much with working with Avery over the last couple of years is even, her asking questions helps me, formulate responses and share my thought process. And I was alone for so long that, you kind of get into a bubble. So it's nice to just get on with someone you trust, share your opinions and know you're not right or wrong. And he might have a better view of it. And I think honestly, it's helped me speak more clearly. I think it's helped me organize my thoughts a lot better. And he's got a tremendous training background, just like Avery does. So a lot of their insights to my questions have really helped even me coach people better. So I've been really, really grateful for that. So yeah, that's the Beyond Pain podcast. We come out every week, and we actually have a couple of really awesome guests lined up over the next couple of weeks, including one of my favorite authors, Britt Frank. So that'll be a fun experience. We're actually going to interview her next Friday. So,
and I'll shout you out. I mean, you're always posting. I see it a little bit less, maybe because of the shadow ban, the alleged shadow ban. But I used to always see you post like, this is the book I'm reading, and this is some of the takeaways I got. And you had a lot of commuting because you're traveling due to relationship and family, and you were also commuting on the LIRR and things like that, right? So you're always reading, taking stuff in, and so that was always like, oh man, I really wish I could keep up with Joe on some of these books, but.
Yeah, I kind of I slowed down just a little bit. I mean, I always have a book on me. I keep a book. I don't have a coffee table right now because Avery and I just moved. Not Avery, my coworker, Avery, my daughter. That would have been a little bit explaining. But no, I always have a book on the coffee table. I always have a book on me, so I can always steal a few minutes here and there. Since we got a little bit busier last year, train rides almost sort of started becoming a little bit of like programming time. So, or getting caught up with notes from the previous day. Now that settled down a little bit. I think I have a better routine in place. But then as a result of that, because I started doing that, I started walking, we're making it a point really to walk to and from my office to Penn Station. So I've really just been consuming a lot more podcasts, and that's sort of new. I didn't love podcasts, and probably maybe even until Joe and I started doing ours. And I always loved books. So I would listen to an audiobook. I would listen to reviews about books and stuff, or like synopsises about books, but I never was like, I want to listen to like a 2-hour podcast. So I guess that changed because I wanted to learn a little bit more about the types of questions people were asking, what people were talking about, what people were finding interesting. And yeah, so I still will post on like whatever book I'm reading. They're just a little bit more slower. So it could be the shadow ban, Bo, but it also could just be that they're a little bit slower down the pike these days. But no, still always consuming information. And I think that's a really nice piece of advice for like newer clinicians. It's not that you always have to be, reading a book, but just find something that you can consume like 5-10 minutes, even a day. Whatever that mode is, searching YouTube now. I mean, there's so many awesome options. It's just like I think with Instagram and TikTok, it can be a little bit scary. I actually saw a post the other day that AI is now generating like medical advice, or people are using pages to generate like fake medical advice and like with real doctors. So, as always, this always stood the test of time, but know your sources, but at least, a few minutes a day, maybe a course or two a year, and you're going to be fine. Just learn from people that you work with. I think the sometimes the people that we work with, we forget are treasure troves of information and learning opportunities for us. So I think that's where I've learned the most.
Yeah. Again, I've been in practice since 2008. As it's when I graduated my doctorate and in physical therapy. And I'm always like, I forget. Oh yeah, I have like other physical therapists. I can just be like, hey, what do you do for whatever, ACL advanced rehab or return to sport testing or whatever it is, and just be able to like kind of pick those brains outside
Right.
of relying on, there's some awesome channels out there. I'll shout out Ice Physio. They have some great content. I had Jeff Moore, the CEO, recently on here. Also, I'll just say I was looking up we did have another episode. You don't remember?
I was going to say that we did an episode a long time ago.
Yeah, this was July 9th, 2021.
Yeah, I don't remember what we talked about. Was I wearing a hat then too?
No, you had your fringe shirt on.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is no longer a thing. It was Dr. Joe LaVacca knows strength in motion tends to stay in motion.
Oh, there we go. I like that. I like the play on words there. I like this title better, Pain and Pizza. Yeah. I feel like those are much more
Pain and Pizza.
more comfortable for me.
That's right. And I have 2 videos here of that when you were at my apartment in Manhattan, Joe Lava push-up plus and Joe Lava shoulder extension. I think it was very cars.
Oh yeah. That was probably my peak of when I was trying to put that system together and really understand where and when to use it. Which is, I think, probably something I still do a lot with a lot of courses I take, although maybe just a little bit more watered down, where I'm not like as eager to jump everyone into an FRC system or FRC lens. I think everything I've taken over the course of the last probably 5 years or so, I've realized that each one kind of, when you put them together with the other systems, they just kind of give you a little bit of a better direction. And then I think with getting into more of the podcasts and the research, over the last like 2 years, maybe, it's funny because you're like, well, I don't know, is anything really better than the other? Do I have to force this system of, health or training or fitness on anyone? Or can I just now tell them, hey, look, if you're not really getting this, Pilates is great too. Yoga is great too. This is great too. Walking is great too. Like, it's sort of like, I think the misnomer now for a lot of people is that, well, everything works, so what's the point? And I'm like, well, I don't think that's the way. I think everything.
I would say the opposite. I would say nothing works.
Well, yeah, you could say that too, right? But I think everything could work is how I say it. And now it's so much easier for us to then offer options to the people we work with, rather than saying, I'm FRC certified, I'm PRI certified, I'm DNS certified. Yeah, like, all of these systems exist because they quote unquote keep getting results, right? And there's thousands of clinicians who swear by them, who will, carry the cross and go to the end of time defending these systems. And it's like, guys, just look at it, read between the lines. It all then works. It's just, what can you explain really well to your client? What does your client gravitate towards?
Right. And I would say, when you say everything works, again, I think we hear the successes a lot more than we hear the failures. Same thing about, like, not to throw our chiropractic friends under the bus, but I think we hear a lot of, like, I love Dr. Joe. He's my favorite chiropractor. And every time my back goes out, I go back and see him. And anyway, that takes us very nicely to pain science in general. And I just want to get your definition of pain science, maybe a little bit of placebo, nocebo talk, and whatever else is coming up in pain science that you want to share. Because I think I'd say of all the people I follow, and I follow a lot of folks in the space, I definitely defer to, like, you being on top of a lot of that research and the forefront of that. So tell us what's going on in pain science.
Yeah, I mean, the fun thing, and actually was just giving a talk about this at my buddy's place at Perfect Stride. Did you see me at Perfect Stride? It was a lot of fun that day. I actually have a couple of thoughts on this. The whole idea of pain science education is just that. It's a two-way interaction between you as a clinician and the person you're trying to help. It is no different than educating about how to hang a door, how to cook a meal, right? Education, though, doesn't necessarily imply a change of experience. And I think this is where I see the biggest battle of like, well, then, why am I doing it? This recent research said that pain neuroscience education doesn't have any better effects on pain than not doing it. So why do I need to learn it? And what I always say to this is, why would it not be good to not be an asshole in your sessions? Why would it not be good to listen? Why would it not be good to ask questions? No, you probably won't get a gold star for just being human, but you don't get a gold star every day for not waking up and smoking a pack of cigarettes if you don't smoke, right? If you don't drink, it's not like, well, hey, I'm the definition of healthy because I don't smoke, I don't drink, therefore I'm doing enough. And I feel like that's sort of the conversation that people take with this education. Oh, well, I don't need to do it. Well, but why? It takes 2 seconds to just appease someone's emotions, to help them reframe what they're going through. And for me, the time it takes to just confer that information, and this is all people really need to know, is that their hurt is not harm. And for a lot of the persistent pain people that I work with, acute pain protects. We like acute pain. You roll your ankle, you limp, right? Even when you get like a sciatica or something, you lean away from the side that the nerve could be sort of threatened by. All of these acute pains are good. They're helpful for healing. Persistent pain delays healing. And then ipso facto, because you continue to move in these protective positions, those become your new normal. So if people can understand that they're not in danger, and we need to convey that message clearly and as many times as it takes, I will always say that that's worthwhile from a rehab perspective, because the big thing I'm gleaming from a lot of the pain stuff I read is that this shit takes time. So it's not going to matter if you do the education or not long term.
What takes time? The actual tissue healing?
The tissue healing is an interesting point too, because if we look at tendons and we look at all these different ideas around discs, like discs might take 12 to 18 months to heal. Tendons, if they do heal, could take 6, 12 months or more. And then we have all of these I would say people who are in pain who have no sort of degenerative findings on MRIs and X-rays. So then where do we go from there? I think that what we want to sort of look at is more of like the epidemiology of a lot of these things. And that's what I've been more appreciating over the last few years, is mixing in pain science education with somebody that says, hey, hurt's not harm. You're okay to move into this. However, I need you to understand that your patellofemoral pain, your rotator cuff pain, your Achilles tendonitis, this might take 6 to 12 months before you start to feel like you did. And that's not saying that you did anything wrong in the process. That's just what data is pointing to. So if we can convey that, and then one of the things we spoke about offline was, the populations we work with, trying to keep them healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's maybe the biggest opportunity in all of healthcare. How do we get people healthier? And for people,
how do you define? I think we talked about this last time, and you had a very good definition. Well, I think I asked you on the last podcast. You asked what we were talking about. I remember asking you how you define fitness, and you had a very good answer for that then. I'd be curious if it has changed, if you even remember what your definition of fitness was, but also what is your definition of healthy? So first, let's go with, what is your definition of fitness?
Well, fitness, I think, is probably, I don't even remember what I said, but I would say for fitness, there's probably now, my first mind goes to, well, there's all these objective tests for the sport or activity you want to do, right? So I would say you have fitness to do CrossFit if you could do, 10 push-ups, 10 pull-ups, squat your body weight, and then we can kind of come up with all these ideas.
One of their big ones for funsies is 15 overhead squats with your body weight. That's a Greg Glassman.
There you go. So if you don't meet a lot of those prerequisites for the sport or activity you want to do, then I would say you're not fit for that sport. It doesn't mean that you lack fitness. It means that you can be a really great runner or walker, or maybe just squat on the leg press or something until you build up the base strength. So I think fitness is directly related to the activity that people want to do. I think health is a little bit more of this subjective and objective sort of like blend, where the first question, how do you feel, always comes into play. And then I think from there, it typically stems from me anyway. My bias is like, well, what are your relationships like? And that's your relationship with yourself. That's your relationship with your family. That's your relationship with your work. That could be your relationship with food. And then it could even just be your relationships with exercise. So then for me, it always comes back to this two-way street for most things. How are we interacting internally? And then how are we interacting sort of externally in our environment? And again, the health stuff now is getting a little bit crazy. It's like, 7 or 8 hours of sleep. It's 150 minutes of aerobic exercise. It's strength train 2 days a week. It's have your LDL below a certain number. It's have your HbA, little AC, HBO, big A
Alphabet.
Yeah. I mean, and it gets so overwhelming that a lot of it's not practical because a lot of people can't afford to do all of these tests anyway. And the thing that I've always come to realize, or at least realized the last few years, let's say even one of these numbers was off. Your ApoA, your LDL, your cholesterol, your weight, your sleep, your mental health. What's it going to come back to anyway? It's taking care of your movement, taking care of your exercise. That is the greatest panacea that we have. So for you and me and clinicians like us, this is where we can have the greatest impact in not only our field, but the entire healthcare universe, because there is no greater gift than exercise. And it's more accessible now than ever.
I'm getting the message from the wife and the toddler. I hear the toddler having little throat.
Oh yeah, wrap it up.
So she literally, she doesn't do that often. So we're live. There's an audience. Okay. So I appreciate that. I think my recollection, and not to say better or worse, different, but your answer 4 years ago, almost 3.5 years ago, was more about adaptability. Your definition of fitness was around the ability to adapt to whatever the thing is that we need you to adapt to. So the better you can adapt, the fitter you are, which I did like that. I like your new answer too. And again, I think this speaks to someone who's constantly learning, constantly in different perspectives and trying to adapt that to the people they see. So there's a lot there to take away. And I would love to do a follow-up on all this when I'm not getting pulled aside.
Yeah, we're not getting rushed off. Yeah, well, you gotta go take care of your family, man. It's also Sunday. I get it.
Yeah, Sunday. The other thing I'd say is I will not counter, but I think along the lines as you were talking, what came up for me is Rob Wolf. I'll give him credit. Those familiar with Rob Wolf, Paleo Solution. He's become a little more politically charged.
As everybody has, it seems.
Whatever. But I've always liked his simplification of how do you look, feel, and perform.
Yeah.
And simplifying it to that and saying, what does that look like? And check in with those things. And there's ways we can define that. And he's been one of those he had one of the first CrossFit gyms in the world. I think one of the first 10 in the world. Anyway, so all that said, I appreciate your time, my friend, Mr. Joe LaVacca, Dr. Joe LaVacca. I'm excited to catch up with you next time you're in Colorado.
Yeah, we already said we have it recorded. Everyone that was just listening got a chance to know.
We'll touch base, and then I got to meet a little bit of your Gate Happens team, as I have a little nerve entrapment in my foot, and I was like, let me go to the experts. I tried.
Yeah, I know. Courtney. You got a chance to talk about that. I wanted to ask you about that too, but we'll do that in part 3, the trilogy. Part 3,
the trilogy, the Hobbit. No, that's like a whole nother thing. Anyway, that does tie into feet, the hobbits and the feet. That's a thing. Hairy feet. Sure. Anyway. Joe, any places folks can go connect with you? You want to direct people to your shadow band?
Yeah, well, you go to the shadow band thing. Maybe you can pull me out of the shadow band slums. That's at Strength in Motion _PT. If you wanted to interact in the pizza space, that's a Slice of Life _PT. So I kind of kept the underscore there easy.
What's your favorite pizza in New York City?
Oh man. Oh geez. I think it changes every time I move. Right now I'm all into Grimaldi's because there's a Grimaldi's over here in Garden City. And I've been here, I think 8 days. I think I already had it 2 or 3 times. So yeah, I like the coal brick oven.
Upper East Side one? Is that the Upper East Side?
So the Grimaldi's is sort of near the Brooklyn Bridge.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's the original.
That's the original. Right.
So you're by there.
No, not in Brooklyn. I'm in. So they actually conveniently, they have one in Garden City also.
Oh,
and I was like, no way, it's as
fantastic.
good as the Braun in Brooklyn. And I was like, holy shit. Yeah, it is. This is awesome. So now I'm like remembering like, oh yeah, I love Grimaldi's, and that's what's fresh in my head. So I'm going to go with Grimaldi's right now. Garden City. Get over there if you haven't.
There you go. I've always found it to be a little overhyped because of the Brooklyn.
Also
Bridge
very
thing.
expensive.
Very expensive. DeFara's still my number one. DeFara.
Yeah, see, I never got to DeFara's, and now that he's passed, I'm like, I don't want to go.
I'd
Did they even?
be
Are they even
curious.
still?
I haven't heard how it's doing since he passed, but yeah, I got to go when he was there, and it was fantastic. So anyway, we'll talk more, Joe, and appreciate you being on here. Let's go,
man.
Yanks.
Let's go, Yanks. Here we go. Wild card, baby.
This is our year. This is our year. We don't have enough. We don't have enough of them. Them championships, them World Series.
That's right. That's right.
If you guys want to reach out to Joe, we got some of the links down below. Strength in Motion. What's the paint and pizza? Paint and pizza. What is it?
Slice of Life _PT. I just kept the underscore for everybody, so that way it's always the same.
Just to make it hard. I was literally trying to look it up as we were talking, and I'm like, I can't even find you.
You know, I forgot about it because I was like, because I post on it only like a couple times a week. I'm just like dabbling in it. So yeah, I actually forgot. So no, all good. But website works too, and you can always contact us via the website directly also. So that's probably the easiest.
And if you're down in Lakewood, he is here seeing some folks.
That's right.
Every now and again.
At least, twice a month on paper, probably once a month in reality. But
there you go.
We could do lots of wonderful things now virtually.
Same. So, all right. Thank you guys. Hope you got at least 1% better today. Go check out Joe.